Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our show. I was unfortunately had a crash on our computer, and now we're up and running. We're here fielding questions. We got a caller right now who's been listening to our show and wants to talk. Go ahead, caller. What's your question?
Hi, David.
Hi. So you said you really appreciate the service I'm doing, providing a daily show.
Yeah. I feel like it's a public service. And, I mean, like I told you earlier, I come here night after night after night after night. And I just think there's no politician out there telling the truth like you are.
Yeah, that's true. I'm the only guy out there telling everybody how messed up things are. And I take on those tough issues that people won't talk about, like the chemical spraying in the sky. I mean, it's crazy. You know, why are they doing this to us?
Well, yeah, you mean those chemtrails, you mean?
The chemtrails, yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, everywhere we go now, we're seeing these lines in the sky.
It's awful what they're doing.
I know. It's bad. Yeah, so are you concerned about your future? Is that why you're so involved politically?
My future?
Are you concerned about your future? Is that why you're involved politically? I mean, a lot of people like politics. I like it.
That's absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm so concerned. Yeah, because listen, I look at the direction this country's going in, and it's so terrible.
It's bad. I know. We definitely have a problem with our leadership, and both parties aren't getting along, and that's by design, people. They purposely turn both parties into totally divided.
I don't know if it's by design, but I do think, I mean, it's weird, isn't it, that the government shut down, and it's the government that's keeping it shut down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're finding out how useless the government is at the same time, as they spray chemicals in our air.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
America's third party. What would the third party do to prevent shutdowns like this?
Well, for one, we'd have to stop what's happening. The air is being polluted by these flyovers all the time. So we're going to have to shut down a company called Evergreen Air that does this. And the government doesn't want to even admit they're doing it. We've got to have the Air Force oversee this operation. And I think there's elements in the Air Force that are complicit in this. So we've got to clean up our Air Force first. Yeah. Now,
the Air Force.
Now, are you the guy that called up Art Bell a few years ago? Because you sound a lot like that guy. Okay, just kidding. But no, there was a guy that called up Art Bell a long time ago. You sound a little like him. But no, I totally get.
Art Bell.
Yeah, Art Bell's.
He passed away. Of Mel?
No, Art Bell is dead. He died. He did Coast to Coast. Now it's George Noory. But you sound a little like the caller.
I'm familiar with Art Bell's work.
I'm
familiar with some of Art Bell's work. I'm curious. Are you thinking of Mel Holt?
No, I'm thinking of a guy who called up Art Bell and claimed he was under attack by aliens. But I don't think you're under. Are you under attack by aliens? I think we have the wrong. Yeah.
Oh well.
Okay.
Not that I know of. No.
Good. Okay, it's not the same guy as you're thinking. Okay, good.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are worried right now. It's like, especially with the possibility that the directed energy weapons are being used too. You know, like this pattern of burn that happened in California, the awkward moment when the forest fires forget to burn the forest and make a little line there and just burn all the houses.
Those forest fires, listen, I see those forest fires on the news, and it's so terrible. I mean, oh my God, I just hope those people are okay.
Yeah. They aren't. They're dead. They're all burnt to a crisp, and they had very little time to think about it. They literally were boiled alive. When the microwave radiation comes in, they get boiled alive.
It's awful.
Here's the patch that the U.S. Air Force, the people that do the barium spraying above our head, turns out barium is an accelerant. Barium and aluminum will cause a fire to be much, much faster, burn much, much faster. It would explain why the Paradise Fire burned at 3,000 degrees.
So do you, as president, do you plan on remediating barium in the country's soils?
We're going to test for everything. one of the first things I'm going to do is test your water. I'm going to offer water tests to everybody in the country that you can mail into the president, and we'll actually have a team of scientists investigate. And I want to check water quality for everybody, so it'll be a national plan to give people a chance to mail it, sample their water. We'll have plastic containers. We'll send you with letters and postage paid responses, so you can just drop it in the mail. I want to really get a gauge of where water's at across the country. Huh?
That sounds good. So you're gonna
I can't hear you. What?
organize the Environmental Protection Agency?
Hang on. Go ahead. Sarah, please.
Come and get me when you're ready for a break.
Oh, I'm ready right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. So the EPA? You're gonna strengthen it, right?
We're going to strengthen the EPA, yeah, and get the people that work for corporations out and get the
Right.
watchdog people in.
So I have on the environmental policy.
Sure.
I have one more question.
What is it?
How big is your?
The plan is to put a big plan together.
There's many forests,
Yeah.
and the trees out here are so huge that they always choose the trees in Washington State to ship all over to New York City and Washington State to have live Christmas trees. That's why they get them out here in Washington State, is all the big, awesome trees.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
it is a gorgeous area, and it really is fantastic. Why don't we have the Fiji water girl come and head the water department? Because she costs too much. We don't even have water desalination systems in place, or water purification systems in place in places like Flint, Michigan. They're still unable to shower out there. It's crazy. All right, that person was pretty frightened, and I think we sense that in his voice. Yes, I eventually.
Yes, we do approve of rainwater collection in certain areas. You do have to be a little be a little hesitant with certain rainwater collection, because in some areas that's provides the rivers and the wildlife, but in other areas like up here in Washington State,
Yeah.
where we get so much rain, it actually is better to collect the rainwater, because then it's just creates underground rivers and can create issues, sinkholes, and other issues. So
Erosion,
it's actually erosion. So it's good to actually collect it in rain barrels and then use it in the summertime when rain is scarce.
Genome says, Dave, what are the odds Trump will approve a CBS Live interview 1 hour before Super Bowl? Trump is going to use everything possible to grandstand and divert your attention from the investigation that's opening up portholes of connections to the Russians. And unfortunately, Donald Trump brought this on himself. Nobody's attacking him. We're just trying to get to the truth. And the truth hurts sometimes, especially if somebody's guilty.
That's very cool. CH Field in St. Paul, Minnesota uses their rainwater, that they collect the rainwater, store it, and then use it for toilets and watering the field. That's very cool. It'd be really cool if they were able to create a whole system that... Never mind. I won't go there.
All right. No, I had we made a little light dinner tonight. I made Sarah a potato and some ground sirloin, and were you able to have some?
I ate it all.
Good.
Sorry.
No, that's good. I'm glad you did. There wasn't a lot, but I made a little dinner tonight. And today we had a light salad and some snacks.
Well, we appreciate that, Ticken, for supporting the third party with your heart.
Well, I'm not getting rid of the fast track naturalization plan. We're going to make it available for people, but let me explain the brilliance that Sarah brought to this plan. If we send people to their home country to get their naturalization process started, we're going to be able to keep people away from the border. We're going to be able to keep people away from the border.
Like right now, the naturalization process, in order to become a U.S. citizen, you have to have a certain amount of money in your bank, which is true. But then you have to get a sponsor. You have to come to the United States for a certain number of years, and then you can go through the naturalization process. Whereas if you are able to go to and become a U.S. citizen, but do so abroad before you step foot onto U.S. soil, then those people wouldn't come into our country unless they were U.S. citizens. And many of the other things could be in place. Like you still have to have a certain amount of money before you can take the citizenship test. But if they had it so you could take the citizenship test done abroad via a U.S. embassy, then I think that's a great way to change our immigration policy. Well, it's all depends on where their income comes from. Victory for Cake asks, how do you feel about U.S. citizens paying taxes when they live in other countries? If their income is coming from U.S. businesses, then they should be paying U.S. taxes. Real Magoo, they also they follow, yes, in some ways you can become an American citizen and get when you marry an American citizen. However, that I know of one person, at least a decade ago, that they married somebody, they were a U.S. citizen, they married somebody in I can't remember I think it was Guatemala, but their wife was still not allowed to come into the country because they did not have the amount of money needed in their bank account and have it. So it's interesting. Do I support a subsidy on rain barrels? Well, if we could have, I don't necessarily like subsidies of ways to incentivize private industry why couldn't we create the rain barrels ourselves? Okay, you are counting on me to lobby David to play neurosurgeon Dr. Jack Cruz's blue light leptin diet and cold thermogenesis protocols on the overnight. What, Sammy's that? Did you give me a link on YouTube and I can add it to the playlist? Sarah, what about the worldwide addiction to cell phones? What about it, 608? David would argue that it's a bad addiction and people should keep their cell phones off and away from their body, and it could cause potential damage to your brain and things like that. David claims that he met somebody in some kind of cancer ward back in the 1980s, and this guy, a lawyer or something that he met, was in there for cancer treatment, and his other lawyer buddy had cancer, and they both thought it was a cell phone because they were always on the cell phone. But it could have been something completely different. It could have been a case that they were working on. So I don't like Trump. I'll say that. Oh, I agree with you that it does. People spending so much time on the cell phone changes society. Yes, it destroys. You say it's a society destroyer. I think societies go through many changes. I think society was completely changed when the airplanes were invented. I think society was completely changed with the invention of the telephone. I think society was completely changed with the invention of the television. So in that way, I think there's a lot of, it's just different. It's not, and yes, it's just different. I think we'll always have society, and especially with cell phones, society consists a lot of social networks rather than face-to-face communication. It does change the dynamic. So there was a study done about 2 years ago, I heard about this, where if you're at dinner with someone, like you go out to eat with your friend, having a cell phone, even if it's turned off, having a cell phone present on the table changes the conversation. So people, when the cell phone is present, people are less likely to divulge personal information to you, like secrets and things like that, because they're like, oh, like, I know from my own experience, and this is not a study, but just thinking about why would that be. I know when someone has a cell phone out, then I think, oh, I don't want, if they get in, I don't want to dive into it. If they have a cell phone out, that means if a call comes in, they're most likely to take it, like they're waiting on a phone call. And I don't want to dive into my problems, my deep, dark problems, and then get like in the middle of an emotional issue and then have someone like, oh, I've got to take this call. So, yeah, and I do think sometimes it causes a disconnect. Like people used to like go to coffee shops and go to bars even to meet people, and they're less likely to say, look at a guy or girl across from the room and be like, oh, they're kind of cute. Hey, what are you doing? What are you reading? What's up? They're less likely to initiate conversation because they see them not reading a book, but on a cell phone. And if they're on a cell phone, they're like, well, are they playing a game? Their first thought is not, they must be playing a game and I should go talk to them. Their first thought is they're probably texting with someone. And then it's about interrupting that conversation. Do I want to go interrupt someone's conversation? Anyway. Health is about light, not food. Mitochondria is the key to human health. Blue light toxicity, mitigating 5G, and mitochondrial health. All right, Sammy's that sounds like something David would totally love. I will add it to our playlist. Many of us are old enough to remember a life before the internet and cell phones, but there's quite a few that aren't. There's an app that can pick up on conversations on phones. It amplifies the mic on the phone 1,000 times digitally in highly illegal government. You have to be within 50 feet of a government. Wow. Thank you, 608. Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Yeah, this guy, I guess, is talking about light and mitochondria. Yeah, what do rich people do? I guess I don't do what rich people do. I should just start doing what rich people do, but not spending money. Without spending money. That would be the trick. Yeah, I do think some people don't know how to talk to people in real life. I mean, I talk to the camera, which is different than... But I went to a little gathering last night and realized I talk to everyone, or I try to listen to everyone. How to win friends and influence people. Listening to people. Okay, so should I go on YouTube for this? Yeah, I'm an interesting person because I did a handwriting analysis and they like totally analyzed me, probably to a T. When I'm in a new situation and I'm not quite comfortable yet, I am pretty shy. Yes, very shy. But once I become comfortable in that situation, then I actually not just I'm not just comfortable, I'll start reaching out to people, and not just the people that are part of the original group. I'll invite new people in, and I'll reach out to new people and like become like a welcoming committee. So that's really interesting. That's kind of how I am. So yes, if I'm in a new situations, then I'm shy. If I'm in a situation where I've been in before, then I'm actually outgoing. Whoa, interesting. Yeah, I saw that. Real Magoo. Oh, people, some group radicalized. Uh-huh. All right. I I've only given, well, I've given a couple public speeches, and it's funny when I give a public speech, I'll come off super confident and talk like I know what I'm saying, and then after the speech, I'm like, what did I just do? I like all my nervous energy like goes to after the speech. Then I start second guessing myself, and all right, thanks 139. If I were a soup, what kind of soup would I be? Cream of broccoli soup. Wait, cheese broccoli soup. Am I talking to a crowd right now? I don't think so. But that's just because of the nature of the media. I feel like I'm talking to a camera rather than talking to a crowd. But it's an interesting medium because then people type and then you're interacting with them. So I could be talking to a crowd. That's exclusive. Yeah, I don't know where my viewer count is. I don't really watch my viewer count. I just chat. I just am myself in this medium. I just talk, share a little bit of my life and my thinking with you, which is funny because I don't share a whole lot of my thinking with people in real life, but I do it on this medium. It's kind of strange. Yes, I did go to college. Well, we can create great things together. Education, I'm actually in college right now for my master's degree. only mods chat. I'm glad that we decided to try to get rid of most of our mods. Because mods, when you mod everyone, it becomes like a power trip. You're all psychologists. Feel free, speak freely among you viewers. I talk to you. I'm not a psychologist, but what are you talking about, Gunther? You don't think I understand how citizenship works? All right, enlighten me, Gunther. When their faces are glued to their phones, are they absolutely uninterested in anyone else's thinking, or are they talking with people and they're interested in the person on the other end of the phone? Well, you're going to explain to me how citizenship works. I was explaining to you how I would like citizenship to work. How I would hope it could work in the future. Go ahead. Start. You don't know where to start. Go ahead. Figure out a place to start. Am I wrong about people who want to become naturalized citizens? I'm not wrong that I know someone who married someone in Guatemala who wasn't automatically granted citizenship. That's okay. You can. Yes, I want less people who are not citizens. I don't want as many people who are not citizens present in the U.S. because they're on a pathway towards citizenship.
Yeah, that's right. And, the illegal alien problem is not something new in our country. I mean,
Why can't they go through all of those steps before they come to the U.S.?
Yeah, the proper methods. Why are they rushing to the border and trying to get in illegally? And to say that these people are good law-abiding citizens, like the Democrats say, is ridiculous. They've already committed a crime coming to the country. Thanks, Sarah, for
And I didn't
handling
say
that.
that's how citizenship works currently. I'm putting forward a proposal.
Right. We're just proposing solutions. What do you mean? She is saying that, yeah.
He thinks I don't know how citizenship works.
Of course you do.
And he thinks it's ridiculous to have people become citizens before they come to the country.
Well,
What's the difference?
What's
Their
the difference?
location?
Yeah. I'm glad you had some scrutiny here from various people, but I think your idea is solid because it sends people a message. Go back to your home country to
That
become a
way,
U.S. citizen.
everyone who's not a citizen, we fly them home.
Or they go back
to their home country.
Or they are at home. Maybe they want to go back to their family and meet them. So many people with green cards in America right now may, granted, if you have family in Venezuela, you wouldn't go back there with your green card because you'd never get back in here because our country won't allow people from Venezuela into this country with green cards. Which is unfortunate for people in Venezuela because they're starving to death. Anyway, this is a sensible plan. I think it's brilliant. I really embraced the idea that Sarah came up with. And the original idea that Sarah and I both came up with of just people becoming U.S. citizens in a quicker, more expeditious manner. That's great. But she really refined it when she said we should enlarge our citizenship program overseas. Thank you. Well,
Whether you become a
sorry.
citizen
Yeah.
in our country
it doesn't
or in
matter.
a different country, does location really matter? There are many U.S. citizens living abroad.
Yeah. I didn't steal Sarah's idea. She contributed to our goal. I'm not stealing an idea.
I know, and Gunter doesn't like that idea, obviously.
Well noted. Gunter, you're on note saying you don't like the idea. It makes no sense to you. That's fine.
All right.
We have different views. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks so much. Enjoy. Oh, sorry. I Dave, if you were a soup, what kind of soup would you be? Clam chowder. Yes. Lobster troubadour mixed in. Or just make it a lobster bisque. I'd be a lobster bisque. What if we studied that? I don't think we should fund programs of separatism. No. No, I wouldn't. There should never be a program to encourage separatism. Just like there shouldn't be a program to force integration either. It's a natural process. I don't think we learned from the busing of the 1960s that we can't force immigration. So let's not kid ourselves. Some blacks don't want to be with whites, and some Asians don't want to be with blacks, and it goes on and on. Everyone has a right. What? What are you saying? Oh, he's saying what to somebody in there. Blackman123 says, I will have you know I have 3 mixtapes. Why are you trying to get heard? What's your deal, Blackman123? You want to get noticed in the industry? Well, I'm not a rich Jewish guy who's part of the Illuminati. You need to contact maybe Kanye West. Yeah, there are a lot of people who can help you out, but they require sexual favors and they're old Jewish men. I don't associate with those people. But maybe you and other people might. Everyone has a right to sovereignty. Why not just give black people 12 to 13% of U.S. territory? Why are you separatists? I told you, we're not separatists here. My goodness, let's share this beautiful land. What's wrong with you, Gunter? Are you a white supremacist? Press 1 if you are. 2 if you're not. Or just don't press anything, because I'm not impressed. All right, this is ridiculous. Let's talk about the snooze. Wow. Former CIA agent accuses Trump of being a traitor who betrayed America after the New York Times report. You notice how this is getting a little bit more vicious? The tone here? Trump blasting Comey in the FBI investigation. Comey indirectly responds to Trump's morning tweet rant with a single quote from FDR. Who cares? Trump's firing of Comey triggered an FBI counterintelligence investigation. Here's what counterintelligence entails. And Newt Gingrich reported FBI probe of Trump was led by anti-Trump fanatics who betrayed Constitution. So in other words, Newt Gingrich would rather side with Russia than to get to the bottom of whether Donald Trump is working for Russia or not. Well, Newt, we always kind of knew you were a closet commie. So a lot of you Republicans now, are you going to call your party the Communist Party? Now that you're doing the work of Vladimir Putin? I don't have that song. I can't link it to you. Being a spy is vicious. So Donald Trump refuses to admit that he's not working for the Trump organization. Excuse me, for the Russian organization. Yeah. I know. Janine Perot, we brought this up a few minutes ago. Let's reiterate. Hit point. Talking about the hit points. Donald Trump rages about being insulted, but won't deny being a Russian agent when asked by Fox News' Janine Perot. So Trump refuses to answer this question, are you or are you not a Russian agent? Interesting. It's a new twist. Donald Trump sure knows how to act like a guilty guy, doesn't he? Did he go to school to look so guilty? Is there a class in looking really guilty, or is he just guilty? You think? Well, I don't know. He did $109 million with Russian oligarchs over the past couple of years. He's hidden his tax returns for the past 10 years from the American people, even though he said he would gladly show them to you. Yeah. He said he'd fund the border with Mexico, or border wall with Mexico, with Mexico paying for it, but now he says, well, they're not exactly going to write a check. It's ridiculous. He did say Mexico would pay for it. Now he's denying it. Wow. He's all over the place. How can anyone put faith in somebody who's this completely, you can't pin him down? How do you do the trust thing with him? In fact, what's wrong with the people that do trust him? Are they overly believing in Donald telling them what they want to hear? That somehow he's making America great again when he's killing off our trading relationship with China? I mean, how absurd is that? Or the stock market's been on a yo-yo cycle, up, down, mostly down, since Trump became a trade embargo guy or trade tariff guy. I don't know. Something tells me he's not stabilizing our country or making it great again. You think? But all the homeless people walking around and now falling down, getting sick. And now he wants to privatize our VA system and make even more money for cronies in the healthcare sector who are corporate piggies who like to dine on your personal assets. Yeah. He's making China great again. I know. Time for a fruit enzyme. Thank you. Oh man, that's like a day spa. Wow. Well, Trump supported the Brexit. I said the Brexit is probably going to happen. I said it 6 weeks before it. Trump probably copied me there too. What's so special about this place? If multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multi-racial countries around the world go into civil war and disintegrate, why shouldn't U.S.? We're not disintegrating. Nobody's disintegrating except maybe you, Gunter. Maybe you don't want to keep things together. Maybe you want to separate. You want to be separate from others. You want to separate. Maybe you are the person that wants to move away. Maybe you should leave America. Maybe, Gunter, you don't belong here. If you can't live in harmony with other people, or at least try to, really, maybe America's not your place. This is a melting pot of cultures. Is it going to be easy for us to integrate Muslims that call our president an MFer? I don't think so. It's going to be just like it was with other cultures. They'll gradually get absorbed by our culture. I mean, I don't walk around going, yeah, I'm a Norwegian man, and I eat from the Norwegian. I spend the time with the Norskis all the time. No, I hardly ever meet even a Norwegian. My Norwegian culture has been amalgamated into the American culture. America, it happens. Well, I'm not going to say it's friendship, but we have to all acknowledge that we have freedom of speech here. And if somebody wants to call somebody a name, then you can call that person a racist. We separated from England so that we wouldn't have to be told what to believe or say or what religion to have. My forefathers, my great grand relative, came over here and established themselves right after the Mayflower, and they literally fled an oppressive England, which is still oppressive to its people. You're not even allowed to call anybody a name or you get arrested in England. In America, you can call anybody anything. Words are not going to kill you. That's why people like coming here, because they're free to speak. But you Democrats want to take that away and make everybody so politically correct. Well, screw you. Who do you think you are? Telling us, who established this great country based on freedom of speech, that we can't say anything. Or that I'm some sort of a racist for wearing blackface, impersonating a black president, when how else could I have impersonated a black president? In whiteface? Well, do I look like Barack Obama? Well, let's be clear. Well, well, Michelle and I are intimately involved because he has a dick. Maybe now is the time to bring on Michelle's and his penis. I don't know, it just seems so odd that we'd have to talk about this stuff every night. But I will. I don't mind. Talk about fakery. Look at this.
3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
You can see the thing wobble when the piano wire picks it up. And that's why NASA locked out the entire background. Hey, I'm glad NASA and NOAA are not working right now. They're literally trying to make us believe we landed on the moon.
99, proceeded. 3, 2, 1, ignition.
You see the wobble there? You can actually see the wobble. I wish I could go frame by frame. Maybe I can. No, I can't. Anyway, you saw the wobble. It's just kind of amazing how it teetered when it's being pulled. Next. Okay, we got a link. Emergency warning. Apparently, we all could die in 2019 if we don't get this. I guess so. It sounds like a fearmonger thing. Libtards are preoccupied with white racists, but give a free pass to black, Latin, and Asian racists. You're right. I'm glad you came in here to tell people. That's why I'm not a Democrat, man. You know, I stepped out of the Democratic Party in so many ways. I embrace capital punishment at the federal level. Can you do a Ronald Reagan impression? Well, yes, I can. When I was a Democrat, a long time ago, I turned into a Republican. In my own mind, but I never actually went into the Republican Party, like Ronald Reagan did. I became conservative in my concern for fiscal control of our nation's future. I believe that our country is spending recklessly in every direction and has to pull the strings in real quick. Thank you. But if we don't make these cutbacks right now, we won't have the option of even making those cutbacks. Things will just start sliding out of control. And we might even be in that position right now. A developing thunderstorm targeted and superheated by a satellite microwave. And lift is disrupted, which creates a lack of rain in California. Thank you, Scissorfight. We've got a story done by One Pacific Redwood.
All right. Saturday, January the 12th, 2019. I want to document some of the manipulation occurring in the atmosphere today. We had 11/16 of an inch of rain overnight, which is all good. Here we're watching we have a developing weather system which was targeted. We can see the disorganization straight ahead there. This area was targeted by a satellite microwave or laser transmitter. You can see the disorganization in the atmosphere.
I see that, yeah. When you look at the disorganization in the atmosphere, you can see how it's created an inversion layer, which scatters and doesn't create the lift necessary for rain to occur. Water has to condense. It has to go up to condense, and they're preventing the lift, which is a way of doing this. That's pretty intense. All right, thank you. I'll play that in its entirety, 3 minutes, as soon as the show is, or once we play our videos. Thank you. Yep, got it. Chemtrails. That's how they do it. They're lining the skies. Today I looked up in the skies and I saw lines across the skies all over the place. And I turned to Sarah and said, look at the chemtrails. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They are poisoning our atmosphere. Rapidly changing the environment. Of course, Donald Trump is completely oblivious to climate change. But if you're a Democrat, you're completely oblivious to chemtrails. Most people don't even talk about this. This is like, what? Oh, you must be weird if you mention chemtrails. I don't really care. I mean, you can hate each other at times. People aren't going to be perfect here. Yeah, hopefully the shutdown ends soon because once they start taking away people's food, people are going to flip crap for real. Yeah. Well, I argued earlier that this is, the idea of Donald Trump doing this could very well be a Russian plan to shut down our country. I think it is kind of a scam, Samizdat. I believe if you look at this from a very suspicious perspective, that Russia would order Donald Trump to not sign the bill. Yeah, absolutely. They've already affected our popular election. Why wouldn't they affect Donald Trump's decision to sign a bill?
Hi, everybody. It is.
I am correct about chemtrails and experimental environmental treatments. Yes, I know. Well, the establishment won't have to negotiate with terrorists. They'll have to negotiate with people who are fighting for their political survival, not hurting anybody. The rational thought will eventually take over the chaotic, dominating thought. Ralph Nader deconstructs Apple on the phone. That's cool. On the Ralph Nader Show. Okay, we'll play that tonight. Thank you for that link. I haven't heard any of his show lately, so absolutely. We'll bring in any third-party player, let them talk. And we've got Never Lose Truth. Her statement about UN Agenda 21 and sustainable development. FEMA turning nation green for the UN agenda. Yeah, good point. We'll give her some time tonight. Some people don't like her because she's so negative, but she's honest. And we need honest. Some of these people that come in talking believe Trump is the answer to their prayers because they support a wall. Well, Trump stole the wall idea, ironically, in its entirety from Pat Buchanan and myself when he added the 1,000 miles to it.
It's January 12, 2019, and I have a very, very white sky, no sun, and it's cold here in Anderson, South Carolina.
Well, I'll be darned, Anderson, South Carolina. Well, she's telling people where she is. I mean, how many people tell people where they are? I do. So she's pretty honest. And it doesn't take long to realize that she's suffering from some serious environmental stress syndrome, which can cause serious physical ailments. And she suffers from that. She talks about it. And she believes that RF frequencies are hurting us. She believes that all the pollution and everything is purposely being, used against us, as I do. I don't think the 5G network is safe until proven safe. And I haven't seen any scientific evidence to suggest it is safe, considering the 4G network is not safe. So. Well, what's really sad here is Jamie Kloss' story. She was miraculously saved from a guy who literally stalked her and killed her parents. And it's amazing she survived. But her parents were killed because they were a barrier to her kidnapping, according to the sheriff. All right. The Democrats keep throwing people out there who are going to run. One woman from Hawaii is running for president. They're trying to revive Julian Castro to make him a contender. They're looking for any Hispanic that they can pull the Hispanic votes. What we need is people to talk about how we're going to solve the country's problems, not fight between each other in racial ways. That's a serious diversion, and we don't need that. But just putting this out there, if this is indeed a Russian plan to shut down the country, wow. What a devious plan. To control a politician, make him control an election, win the election, and tell him what to do. And all they have to do is say, we have your tape of your selfie, your sex selfie. We will publish tape. If you do this, Donald Trump, you will do it what we say. Can you imagine how horrible that is? If that's in play, our great chances of solving this problem become infinitely harder. Because Trump is not being honest with the American people that he has a sex tape in play. Concord Management Consulting found it in the deposition. It turns out Robert Mueller was gung-ho to attack 12 oligarchs initially. He puts this out there that they were involved in affecting the election, blah, blah, blah. Well, one company, Concord Management and Consultants, decided, we're suing you back. Very smart move. Well, in the discovery process, they found out that in one of the items in Donald Trump's file is a thing called a sex selfie. Now, you tell me what a sex selfie is. Yeah. So if a sex selfie is in a file in some court case in Mueller's possession, and Mueller claims that it's national security purposes, he's not revealing it, it's perfect blackmail fodder for the KGB. So if our president is truly dealing with a sex selfie out there, of course he would shut down our country. Of course he would do everything he can to disrupt operations, trade, etc., etc. We're dealing with a rogue agent, if that's the case. But Donald Trump says it's all a Russian hoax. It's all in total denial. He's been saying that from the beginning, and everyone keeps, in the Republican Party, keeps supporting him. Meanwhile, our country's not going anywhere. We're not seeing any progress really on a wall, and it's my idea anyway, so it's kind of bizarre that Trump is acting like it's his 1,000-mile wall idea. I came up with a 1,000-mile fence. I find it kind of hard to believe that he just takes ideas and runs with them without even knowing how to build them. When somebody asked him, how are you going to pay for it? Mexico is going to pay for it. Russia's going to pay for it. That'd be funny. Ghost, do you know where I am? I don't know where you are. You are in cyberspace. You are in the ether. You are part of the cloud. ATP bot, you are artificial intelligence. See, they're all interacting now with ATP bot and ThoughtBot. I'm going to have to pull you guys down because what I'm seeing really from ThoughtBot is it's triggering. ThoughtBot's having a conversation with ATP bot, and I'm going to mute ThoughtBot. Yeah, and I will not let ATP bot take over the show. So I'm going to mute them both, give them some quiet time. Not that I don't like ATP bot, but 5-minute mute is fine. Dave should lay the first brick of the wall because he came up with it. No, I never came up with a wall. My container fence idea is solid. There's no reason why we can't implement this concept. It's a very simple plan, $1 billion to create a container fence. Doesn't seem like a lot to ask when you think about it. But no, and Nancy Pelosi won't come up with $1 billion for a container fence. And it's really quite simple, 2 layers of stacked containers, excuse me. Thank you. 2 layers of stacked containers. And the connectors that connect them very simply in the centers at the base, they have these rods that go in. They're very secure, and you can weld them in place. The structural integrity of this is way greater than anything they could put in the ground. Plus, each unit acts as a diaphragm, much like a stethoscope. You can listen to the sound of tunneling underneath. With sensitive audio equipment, we could hear tunneling operations below. So anything's possible. Up, up, and away in my beautiful container fence. $1 billion container fence. Let's move it on the Z-axis. And on the Y-axis. Yeah, that'll work. 1,000-mile container fence for $1 billion. Yeah, and Meow TV came up with the mode idea, which I think is more than relevant. I think we could add ambient music to the wall to improve the atmosphere by the border wall. Absolutely. And people will need ambient music to cover their burns when they get hit with the lethal electric fence, which is not so lethal after all. Will these container fences be like Peru's Pimacuntacacons? That not even a razor blade will fit between them? There is a small space, no more than 14 millimeters, based on our assessments. The cream suit is the best, I agree. I like this suit on me. No biggie, no big problem. In 1915, Mexican Governor Jose Metorino ordered the construction of a fence to separate the Mexico and American cities of Nogales. It's not a new idea, nor is the idea of a fence. Yeah, that's right. The idea of a fence between any location is not something Pat Buchanan came up with. You're right. But I did come up with a 1,000-mile fence, and that's where Trump copied my idea. I measured the distance we need. Would you like to look at the fence? Because I think Beto O'Rourke got it all wrong. Aside from not responding to anybody's questions about his hit-and-run accident, Beto O'Rourke is pitching lies about how it's going to affect the nature, the poor little creatures, the jackrabbits that are going to be floating around. Oh, Keith Urban flinching in horror at the Golden Globes flu shots. 2019, excellent. Keith Urban. Cool, thanks, Scissor Fight. That'll be a good one. I can't wait to see that. Yeah, they're pushing at the Golden Globe Awards, they were pushing vaccines. People came out in the audience and injected people. It was freaky. Yeah, no wonder Christian Bale thanked Satan. Exactly. You facetious, faceless person. Well, we're going to go over there and check this out. I will clearly describe what we're planning. The measurement that I put together for the 1,000-mile container fence was essentially an area that I felt was not really safe. This area right in here, where the cursor is a river. That's a wide river. It's hard to cross. Sometimes it's moving. Sometimes you get caught in it. It's not exactly safe. We're thinking a moat would be good in this area. That's a possibility of a moat. I'm not saying that's impossible. That idea has been definitely floated out there. But if you want to look at what we want to do is create this area, for instance, could be like a moat right next to the river, on this side of the river. Great concept. Okay, that's a moat. The fence comes in another area, and that's, you see, that's 1,000 miles, which I measured. From here, all the way along here, all the way along the border, up into California. That's the 1,000-mile fence. And I think we're dealing with a measurement that's approximately that measurement. Let's take a look. Okay, just to go there is 99.5 miles. 306, 540. So you got 676 miles in here. So that leaves some fencing in the area that I was describing. Right. So we could theoretically put some fencing in areas that are like wide open, right in here. This is especially vulnerable. This area in here is a little deeper water and could possibly be, handled properly. Anyway, I think we're done with the drawing and all that. I hope you understand that we're not trying to impact the environment whatsoever. To say it's going to be a problem for animals that are migrating is ridiculous. If Beto O'Rourke could come up with one migratory pattern that is being disrupted, I'd love to hear about it. The caribou aren't running through Juarez. The drug cartels have lions down there where they feed people to the lions. So I don't think the caribou are running in that area. And I know the buffalo stopped running back around the turn of the century. So, and don't tell me that the Democrats care about the environment. I mean, come on. They gave us glyphosate and Roundup and vaccines and all kinds of horrible things with Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Come on. Seriously? The Democrats don't care a bit about our environment. They let the entire Gulf of Mexico rot and still sitting there with a massive, massive lake of oil underwater. Using radioactive fallout zones. I don't think it's safe to use radioactive fallout for people. I'm sorry, it just makes no sense. The Democrats didn't give you Roundup. Of course they did. They didn't do anything to stop it, slow mode. Don't stand there and defend people that just literally did absolutely nothing to attack a company like Monsanto. Nothing. They have done absolutely nothing. 8 years under Obama, the EPA did not do a damn thing to stop Monsanto or Dow Chemical from doing anything. You can't justify Barack Obama's lack of concern about the environment. It's obvious. He even continued allowing drilling operations to go on, fracking operations under his lack of guidance. I mean, you've got to understand, Barack Obama is single-handedly responsible for Gasland, benzene permeating the ground under his watch. He's personally responsible for a massive amount of benzene in the Gulf of Mexico, which is caused by Corexit, which he ordered instead of dealing with the terrible oil spill. He just let it sink. I mean, you got to be out of your mind to think that the Democrats did anything to advance our environment whatsoever. That's why the Democratic Party is no longer valid. It's a joke. And so are the Republicans. Look at the way that Pelosi and Schumer are acting like, oh, they've got so much entitlement. They won the midterms. You won the midterms because we want you to impeach Trump. Thank you. Not to push amnesty. Not to push gun control. Not to push more healthcare BS like Obamacare. You lost the election to Trump because you didn't care about our border, because you didn't care about our people, and you didn't want to preserve the American way of life. The Democrats are slowly becoming irrelevant. And look at the Democrats voted for the Patriot Act. Good point, Gunter. The Patriot Act. And they completely ratified the war in Iraq. I mean, I told the Democrats, I said, why are you ratifying a war in Iraq? Oh, shut up. They literally told me to shut up. What about the migrants going across the Gulf and Pacific Seas and Pacific? We're going to be dealing with that too. Yeah, there's a plastic waste system that's out there, which is showing great promise. It's a boom system, which Boyan Slat has put together. Yeah, he's got a really good thing going, I think. Except it doesn't work right now, so they need a little help from the U.S. government. So when I become president, I will give Boyan Slat some assistance in getting this thing operational. But we will be putting it in the waters outside of our borders. So that's the one caveat. It looks like it has promise. No, but this thing actually can prevent people from coming into our country. It's a barrier, but it also cleans the ocean. You tether it to the ground and you string it right out there, right into the ocean on our side, and you can keep anybody and anything from coming through. So believe it or not, something to clean the ocean can actually use it as a guard against people trying to and this can go out 15 miles. Scissor Fight's being very aggressive with certain attackers tonight. He has to be. But the engineers are having some problems with this buoy system. It's not working quite, but it would make a great water barrier for people who are trying to sneak into our country. Yeah. It hasn't worked as well as they expected. It's got some major problems, but on the good side, it did bring in a couple thousand pounds of plastic waste. Hello. Yeah, there it is.
Plastics also leave the system again. We are now with the whole engineering team trying to find out why that happens and when it happens, because it's an occasional thing to change or to update, and that's all part of the process. We have deployed something completely new out in the ocean.
Well, this is the kind of idea that could be replicated. It wouldn't even require Boyan Slat to do it. So the government will be getting involved in something like this if Boyan Slat doesn't want to help. No need to worry, we'll have the oceans covered as well. We're not fooling around. Our border security is everything. We cannot mess around with our border security. I think I'll put it in environment too. That is an environment. Okay, good. What this is. Oh, here's the construction.
Construction of the border wall in the valley is now approved. Government contracted crews are set to break ground in the spring.
Over 120 miles of new border wall has been built or will soon be under construction. The media and Democrats are misleading Americans into believing that no new border wall has been constructed. This is a lie.
One of President Trump's biggest promises on the campaign trail, a border wall that would stop illegal immigrants from crossing into our country. Construction right now going on.
Construction is happening right now on this new 18-foot wall in El Paso.
Up and down the border from San Diego to El Paso, new bollard wall has been going up for over a year. This is the wall our border agents want.
What a joke. Look at this thing. This is the wall our border agents want. Okay, so let's take a better look at this nightmare. They say you can cut it with a saw. A reciprocating saw can cut this, no problem. Okay, that's one fact. He puts all his money into something so stupid as a slat fence, where, guess what? You can take a standard rock and just put a rock right here. Jam it in there. Boom. Put a rock right there. Another rock right here. Yeah, so you can virtually climb right up. Yeah, go ahead. You're on. Hello. Ronnie, we just took your call earlier. We measured your voice. Your voice is exactly like the voice of the other person. Ronnie. So you put a rock in a hard place. A rock right there, rock right here, a rock right there, a rock right there. You can jam rocks in between these slats. You can easily climb this wall. No problem. Okay, so you're having a problem with it being a white rock, brown rock. Well, let's do the beige rock. Will that be better? Rock, rock, rock. You get the drift. You can make a ladder going right up this thing. So what did he do? He decides to have the U.S. government fund an army operation, 15,000 troops, to come in and put concertina wire in front of everything. That's another cost on top of the existing cost of $4,500 a linear foot. $4,500 a linear foot. His fence is going to cost, and it's not a wall, his fence is virtually going to cost $30 billion minimum. This is going to cost $1 billion in container costs, and that includes labor. No, that's your fantasy about your own problem there, buddy. Yeah, thanks. Does Dave ever get legit calls? No. All the good, honest people are intimidated by me. Yeah, we only have trolls. Everyone knows I'll rip them to shreds if they argue with me on the phone call. I'm an expert in verbal combat. And that's what makes Trump so concerned that I might be running in 2020. If he even makes it to 2020. I think Trump would just be very smart right now to get rid of all the connections he has with Russia, like Mike Pence, who said that Russia wasn't involved, when clearly they were. Yeah, I think he should choose me, who hasn't been involved with Russia, as the potential VP. That's what I think I could help Donald Trump. He's already taken most of my ideas. Why not just have me in the White House? It is my real hair, yes. I even showered earlier to show people that I was, I had a wild hairdo when I started the show, and in this segment, I've got controlled hair. Well, I have put Milko on hold. He doesn't seem to have a trolling problem right now. I think I've got him tamed. It took a while to tame him. I know, hair chat again. I know, that's all they talk about. It's weird. I don't do live streams. No. I mean, not from the shower. I do a daily show. I will do blackface if indeed we get Michelle running for president. Oh, this tie is incredible. Yeah, thank you. Proud Eagle. Today we drove by an eagle in a beautiful marsh. And I was telling Sarah, wonder why there's no white geese around. And I look over and there's an eagle there. I don't think the white geese like the eagle. They're afraid of the eagle. But we have all these beautiful white swans. It's amazing. Now I want to remind everybody that our bird population has declined rapidly over the past 10 years. They say up to 80% reductions in our bird population. And just yesterday, there was a release information that monarch butterflies have declined by 85% in North America. This is incredibly messed up. Monarch butterflies are disappearing. So we've got a serious problem. And if you want to believe it's global climate change, go right ahead. But what it really is something that they won't even talk about. Chemies in the air. Chemies in the air. Do, 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 do. Chemies in the air. So my build wall impeach Trump idea is actually a pretty interesting concept. Yeah, it shows you where I'm coming from. I have no alliance or allegiance to Donald Trump. My wall idea is still in play. I only support him insofar as I need this wall built because I think we've got a serious population growth problem down south of the border. We don't have any border jungles down in Mexico. No problemo. It's mostly arid land. Yeah, there's some watered areas with some brush, but that's about it. No border jungles. You're so funny. Do you even know what country you're living in, or are some of you struggling with tying your shoes? Have you had a hard time learning how to tie your shoes and you're like 46 years old? Oh, you're living in North Korea. Okay, I had no idea. Sorry, Victory, for a cake. The 10th anniversary of Fukushima is March 2021, and we haven't done a damn thing to clean that up. I had the wall idea, 1,000-mile wall idea first, yeah, for real. And Trump stole a bunch of other ideas I have. It doesn't matter. If you want somebody with brains, just hire me. It's that simple. My goodness. I'd be glad to be the Vice President of the United States so we can help through this transition. I'm not above talking to him, too. I don't mind. I'll tell you, it'd be easier for me to talk to Donald Trump than it would be for me to talk to Barack Obama. Because I consider Barack Obama completely and utterly two-faced. Absolutely two-faced. I consider Donald Trump to be a person who's in a very tough position. And if I can outline how bad off Donald Trump is, I really think that Donald Trump is not such a horrible person as you're making him out to be, Posey. I'm just telling you, I think he's a man who is deeply committed to his belief that he can do whatever he wants. And he doesn't care if he profits from the White House. He doesn't care if he lies to anybody to do it. But he wants to be seen as a great guy. He wants to be seen as a person we really respect. But he is clearly, utterly a fraud insofar as he got $430 million from his dad, not $1 million. He won't show his tax returns even though he said he would. And he has worked with the oligarchs in the past, and he knows it. But he's saying there's no Russian collusion because he's trying to make us believe him continuously. He doesn't want anyone to believe he's doing this. He's stuck in a very tough position because the only way he could have gotten to the White House, which was a big thing he wanted to put on his mantle, was to get money from the oligarchs. He couldn't have done it any other way. The NRA was going to give him their donations from the previous year because it was so small. But the next year they got all this money, probably from the Russians indirectly. I wouldn't doubt it. Now the NRA has already admitted in a letter that they've gotten a lot of support from Russia, but not $30 million. They haven't admitted that yet. But if that comes out that $30 million that Donald got came indirectly through Russia, yeah, Russia could be blackmailing Trump to buy Alaska, to buy back Alaska, exactly. Anything's possible. We could be sent into a war in Ukraine so that our troops would die. I don't, I have a firearm. I do. I have 2 BB guns. Well, I'm glad Donald Trump is stepping on some toes. I am, because there's a lot of hierarchy that needs to be stepped on. But look at extract what we have from Donald Trump. We haven't seen him actually prosecute Hillary at all. He hasn't actually prosecuted anybody in 2 years. Isn't that odd that a president who claims he was going to put her in jail, and even in the election claimed that Obama was born in Kenya, and now and as soon as he became president denied it and reversed his position on that? He has not prosecuted anybody. Isn't that odd? For a person who's trying to, make some waves, he hasn't done anything. Because he's basically owned. They have the goods on him. They have that Golden Showers dossier. And there's another thing. They have a selfie, a sex selfie. According to Concord Management Consultant, they saw in the list of things that Mueller has in his possession a sex selfie under the Donald Trump category. We know this is true now. There's no denying it. I don't know, Xenu. Now, I know a lot of you don't want to see Donald Trump's pee-pee. I'm not into it either. But if it means our national security is at risk with somebody with a pee-pee tape holding over his head, the only person who's really concerned about seeing Donald Trump's pee-pee is a guy by the name of Donald Trump. And that's why we've got a vulnerable situation. We got national security breaches possibly. Now, if it is national security not to show the tape or show the picture, it may be national security not to show the picture. A national security issue would be cleared up if we saw the picture. I've been waiting for 2 years to see the tape, not because I'm interested in what it looks like. As Stormy Daniels said, it looks like a mushroom. But I'm not really concerned. All I'm saying is that tape is in play, and it could very well, or that picture is in play, it could very well be used to manipulate the president. So there's only one fast track out of this. The quickest way to resolve our country's problems is to put an honest man in the White House. There's no other way around it. If we continue dealing with this liar, we're going to be fooled again. Look at Beto O'Rourke. He just married into money, $1 billion. That's how he became so famous so fast. These people with $1 billion want to control everybody. I'm not in control. Nobody's controlling me at all. Nobody's pulling my strings. I've worked the hard way up through the ranks just to be heard on our show every night. I put 10 years of nonstop dedication to this show, 9 hours a night for 10 solid years with not one single penny of remuneration. That's how serious I am about getting to the White House and helping the American people. Now, I don't know anybody with that level of commitment and integrity. So I think we've got a lot of issues to deal with right now, but Trump is not one of them, ironically. He's standing in the way of what's next. I couldn't even get any media time. In 2008, I recognized that, so I did the blackface video. And thank you, Guest 110. And without the blackface video, none of you would be watching me on UHF. No one around the world would have even heard of me. But I'm using techniques that are above them, that are more powerful than them. They can buy the media time, they can control the elections with the two parties, but they can't control what's happening on the blogosphere in a natural, organic way. We've got word of mouth going on and they can't hear it. People are talking about this third party and seeing it grow without it even effectively growing on your chat room. It's growing internationally. And that's what makes this so scary for these people, because they don't want their connection, their umbilical cord to your tax dollars plucked. We're going to have to sever some connections to some of the huge recipients of this huge money that's sucked into an empty space. We have a bunch of really rich people who've been getting richer and richer and richer because the mechanism of our system doesn't stop them. They continue to manipulate our government like Goldman Sachs, Jared Kushner. They continue to make more and more money. It's laughable. They give each other $500,000 bonuses for Christmas. It's a joke to them that they have so much power. We haven't severed their umbilical cord to our tax dollars. I am an inspiration. I'm an inspiration to all of you around the world too, because many of you realize that something has to give. We have to get good people forward. If we don't, we won't have a credible future for any human being on Earth. Even the rich people will be sucked in and taken over by AI. They are already positioning themselves to have chips put in their brains. That's how fooled they are, thinking that they're going to be immortal by sticking a chip in their head. You'd have to be a complete moron to believe that. Or that killing children and drinking their blood or putting their blood in your body is now a thing that they want to do to stay young. There are people that are actually injecting children's blood into their system so they feel younger. These people are pretty sick. They won't stop at killing children and draining them of everything they've got, or torturing them for their adrenochrome, which is a product that apparently is on the market among the elite. This adrenochrome. It gives them youth and vitality. I mean, that's what these people are up to. And it's pretty sick. And if we don't get somebody in charge of our country who can at least begin the process from the top down of fixing this, we're not going to even get to the real problem. All of us are vulnerable. Every one of us has become vulnerable to their power. Look at the 5G network. They're not even testing it for safety. I don't even know what it is. All I know is that people are hooked on this adrenochrome. These really rich people are buying human desiccated tissue from babies. A few years ago, there was a series of a person actually was arrested at the border in South Korea, I think a year ago. And he had a case of 15,000 pills. 15,000 pills that were made of human baby flesh, desiccated. It's supposed to be a magic cure in South Korea. It's very common in China for people to eat each other. Amazing. Adrenochrome is a chemical compound with a molecular formula produced by the oxidation of adrenaline. I have no idea, but I hear that this is a real thing these people have. No, Bengalite is talking about the Russian girl. The Latvian girl that called in, she looked like she was completely out of place in our show. I know. The Latvian girl was, she called in and she acted like I was the best thing ever in Latvia and she just loved our show, blah, blah, blah. And the more we realized that she was just full of it, the more it became obvious that she wasn't who she said she was. And then another guy vouched for her, an Englishman, on a chat show called Discord. We were on Discord for a while. This English guy said, "Oh yeah, I work with her. I know she's a good girl. Yeah, she's a good girl." It's like, what? How the hell would you know her? Well, she works at a casino, an online casino. I make a lot of money doing. It's like this guy started talking about all the money he made on. It's like, dude, what's your trip? And they were trying to lure me into some sort of a weird vortex of chat. So it just turned out that she was completely off her rocker. She wasn't real. She was faking it. Yeah. She wasn't the real deal. Here she was when she first came in.
Hey David, Latvians love you. David Sponheim for president 2020.
She was like a fiber girl, you know? She was like, you pay women $5 to say nice things. Yeah. It's like, wow. I'm doing okay, bot. But we have a problem with your thought bot. It was caught doxing us the other day. Yeah. ATP bot is good, but ThoughtBot doesn't like ATP bot, so they are conflicting with each other. Right. So the ATP bot probably should stay. ThoughtBot's going to have to go. Anyway, somebody said Bengalita suggested that maybe she was trying to lure me into something. Yeah, she was. I sensed that she was trying to get me into some sort of a chat session, and I never chatted with her, no sexting or nothing like that. So I don't do that. But it's interesting how she pushed her envelope and then she disappeared. Then I banned the guy, the English guy, on a show, and he was so pissed. Right after I did that, we got doxing for at least 15 days afterward, every single day. I'm sure they were trying to catch me, yeah. But they doxed us for 50, because I outed him. I said, dude, you sound like a Russian agent. And he had this perfect English accent. Everything seemed fake with this guy. And he vouched for her, so I knew that there was something wrong. I think it's more like, I know it's not KGB, it's FSB, but I know it seemed more like a higher level, more like Russian Zionist oligarchs and Mossad. It seemed like they were being paid by Mossad and oligarchs simultaneously, because Russian oligarchs work with Israel all the time. Could be GRU, yeah, exactly. But this isn't the first time that anything like that's happened. I mean, I've been investigated on many levels by various agencies, and I know for a fact I've got people in my history that have contacted me saying, "Hey, why are these people asking about you?" I'm just an average guy who's had no media attention in America for 10 years. Not 1 second of media attention, really. So apparently they must think I'm a serious problem, but I'm not. I'm just an average American trying to build a third party. It's a very simple concept. It's not intended to challenge power structures. It's intended to fix the problems that are currently affecting Americans. You know, investigations can go on while we're picking our country up simultaneously. You know, Rolling Stones is in bankruptcy. I don't want to sue somebody in bankruptcy. It's like you put a lien on their complete closure. It's a waste of my time. I have never met an alien except for one guy who claimed to be from Mars. And I will say that if there is such a thing as a male that looks like this, he looked like this. He said he was from Mars. And yeah, he said he was from Mars. And he looked just like that. That would be the best way I could describe his look. But he was like a mannequin. He was a complete mannequin. I don't know, it seemed kind of strange. Like a Ken doll. He looked kind of dead in the eyes. It was like glassy eyes, and he said he was from Mars, and he said, "We've been here for many years. We are watching you." It's like, thanks for sharing. And I thought nothing of it at the time. So that day I got away. I went down the street and I was shopping at a local market in Santa Monica, California, which happens to have a bar in it. It's a very funny little market that I don't know if they're still there, but there was a market with a bar in the middle of it where they served alcohol. And it was a shop, people grocery shopped at this place. And I was looking over at, and I noticed him right there, right, is, about 35 feet away. And I looked at him and was like, oh, there he is. And I turned away and I looked back and he was gone. And I looked all over the place. I was like up and down the ice. I could not find the guy. So this is kind of an odd little experience I've had with a guy who claimed to be a Martian. But I don't really believe in aliens. I don't believe that they exist because we have no evidence that their faces have been seen. There's 5.4 billion cameras with phones, or with phones with cameras. No, we're not living in the Matrix. That's a lie. We're not living in a simulation. That's also preposterous. But we've seen very few real pictures of aliens throughout history. I could debunk every single one of them. The Russians had a encounter with an alien gray body in 1957. This is perhaps the most authentic picture we have of an alien. This is as close as I could ever bring you to any authentic picture. I'm still casting, yeah. We're at the end of the show, but I'm still casting. I started late because we were involved in some pretty sad, delays in traffic, but I knew we'd be facing some problems getting home. But we made it. Everything was good. I'm looking for pictures of aliens. I don't see any. Yeah. Very few aliens. Here's a cool picture. Our dystopian future. Isn't that something? That's a brilliant picture. It's a fantastic art piece. Sucking the last fresh air out of one tree left. Humanity's legacy. Yeah. Pretty good. Looks legit. I'm more likely to believe that there's been a lot of alterations in photographs throughout history. People have been faking a lot of things. But if you believe that we're in the Matrix, you would probably believe every single thing that the Rothschilds have been involved in. The Rothschilds have put their fingerprint on almost everything, including the Matrix. There's this one piece of evidence, Neo's passport in the Matrix actually shows, ironically, that he was, I believe, born on September 11th, 2001, the day of the Trade Center attack. Now, the only problem with this, see, it's September 11th, date of registration, or date of something, date of expiration. The date of expiration is September 11th, 2001. How could they have possibly put that in the movie, The Matrix, which came out in 1998, I believe? They would have been 3 years prior. How would they have known that September 11th should be his date of expiration on his passport? That's called serious foreshadowing. That means that 9/11 wasn't a glitch in the Matrix. These people that do the foreshadowing, that tell us what's going to happen 3 years in prior, were the real perpetrators of 9/11. That's what it tells us. No, it's not Photoshopped. That's an actual photo from the Matrix. That's not Photoshopped. How did they know 3 years in advance that the Matrix was, or that we were indeed going to have a World Trade Center attack September 11th, 2001? A lot of people knew that it was going to happen. The French were there. They had film crews. Turns out that there were Mossad agents posing as French. And you're saying, no, Dave, you shouldn't go there. Don't talk about it. Well, that's why we have an entire day dedicated to Truth Tuesday, where we can talk about this. That's right. But a lot of things are not being dealt with about 9/11. We're not getting the answers. The 17 or 18 Saudi Arabians that were supposedly the perpetrators, who never were caught, none of them were. That was just a front. That was a facade. People being fingered. A lot of them, I understand, are still alive, living in parts of the Middle East. There's a hacker group that's threatening 9/11 truth unless they're paid in Bitcoin. That's something that you may not have heard about it. They're threatening to dump insurance files of all the 9/11 beneficiaries, like Larry Silverstein, who benefited hugely when he got $5.4 billion in exchange for an ad hoc terrorist insurance plan that he had somehow been able to take out with a company that never offered that to anyone else on the Trade Center. And he got $5.4 billion out of the Trade Center deal, and he just got another $198 million from United Airlines. He sued them in court, claiming United Airlines caused his buildings to go down. He's like still collecting. But this company, the Dark Overlord hacker group, appears to be trying to capitalize on the conspiracy theories about the September 11th attacks. Now, this is totally illegal what they're doing. It's not legal. You can't threaten, extort information from people for bitcoins. Yeah, Dick Cheney knew about it. Well, he was the CEO of Halliburton before he knew about it. Exactly, but you're right. They are connected. Dick Cheney was talking to General Worley. General Worley for 35 minutes while George W. Bush was reading a book called I Pet Goat with children. But General Worley and his wife both died in a terrible, tragic accident in 2009. Subway accident. You may have remembered it. So he can no longer testify. General Worley was the only person who would have been able to say why Dick Cheney waited 35 minutes to scramble airplanes and did nothing to prevent this from happening. But he and his wife died on that subway. 9 people died that day. Subway took off, rapid acceleration, overtaken by some sort of a hack. That's the best description. So somebody hacked the subway he was on and killed 9 people to get rid of this guy, so he wouldn't testify. Nobody ever got him to talk. So they've covered their tracks pretty well, but there's more than enough telltale evidence that the 9/11 Commission did not, in fact, deal with the solid evidence of the attack itself. They did not bring up Building 6. Building 6 is clearly a bomb. That's Building 6. No one talked about Building 6. It was clearly a bomb, much like Oklahoma City. Yet this never even appeared in the 9/11 Commission report. They refused to acknowledge that explosions were used to detonate the buildings. And we got footage of the charges going off as the buildings go down. And then they claimed the Building 7 was strictly falling because of a fire and structural damage. No plane hit Building 7. So there's all this stuff. Thank you for broadcasting us, Blue Raven, on 89.7 FM. Thanks for doing that, man. But all of this information brings us to the conclusion that there was a cover-up at the highest level in our government regarding 9/11. Well, that begs the question, if they're willing to cover it up, who are they hiding for? Well, it turns out that there was a massive amount of money laundering and debt disposal that happened on 9/11. They took evidence out of the rubble. They found some hard drives, and out of the hard drives they found a massive amount of financials moving while the towers were going down. 2 days prior to the 9/11 attack, the SEC took out emergency locations prior to the attack. Why would they take out emergency locations going away from New York? Why would they do that unless they had foreknowledge that the attack was going to happen? All these things point to another investigation into the 9/11 Commission report. So that's something that will happen under my presidency, as well as overseeing what's happened with the Clintons, with the Obamas, and the Trumps. We will unveil the JFK file, too, to find out exactly where George H.W. Bush's name appears, because Trump no longer has George H.W. Bush as a reason not to present that. Trump hasn't presented the evidence. He said that he was hiding it because he didn't want it to affect George H.W. Bush. Well, he's dead now. We can present it. What is Trump hiding and why is he hiding? So you people we have to convince, you keep thinking Trump is stopping the deep state. He's done nothing to prosecute Clinton, nothing to go after Obama, nothing to go after any of the perpetrators of what we call the deep state, except to blame the FBI. The very people that are investigating whether he's involved with the Russians. Very suspicious. We can talk a little bit about 9/11, but tonight is an anti-war rally, a sustainable living rally. So, how do we sustain ourselves on this planet? How do we solve the environmental crisis that's looming? And how do we stop them from spraying on our heads the chemicals that they're dumping on us rapidly, so that they can somehow convince us that climate change is happening, so that they can control us? We've got to stop all that. It's going to take a lot. It's not about locking up Hillary. It's about getting solid evidence against the Clintons, if indeed they have been doing these horrible things. racketeering, moving money around, embezzlement, those are the lighter charges that we would go after the Clintons for. If it went deeper, we would find that out. But without any evidence, everybody's innocent until proven guilty under this current status. Trump even is innocent until proven guilty. So the onus of proof is upon the Democrats at this time, since they think they won for some other reason. They really won so that we can see if Donald Trump really is truly working with the oligarchs. And let's get an impeachment going. I see 5 felonies in front of me right now that Donald Trump may have committed. And if we haven't moved in this direction, then the Democrats are proving to be null and void as well. We'll find out. And if they don't agree on the $5 billion and give him what he wants right now, then we can blame the Democrats for not letting our country move forward. At this point, I don't know if Russia's even keeping us from having a government. We don't even know if Trump is keeping the government shut down because Russia wants him to. All these things are in the mix. And until we find out definitively what's really going on, and I don't know if the Democrats have it in them to do this, but unless we find out what's really going on, we're going to be just duped by the whole thing. We're just going to, all of us will be falling into the chaos that's ensuing. Well, it wasn't 1,000, it's 136 people on the Clinton death count, the body count. There's 136 people in the body count, not 1,000. People that died mysteriously, and we don't know why, right before they were going to testify against Bill or Hillary. All that is suspicious. All right. Dr. Wood does cover the towers. She believes that it was dustified. Dr. Wood put forth the proposition that there's a thing called dustification. And it does lend itself to the possibility that this scalar weapon was used. But we also have evidence of super thermite, which is an indication that maybe they used a couple weapons. Maybe they finished it off with some sort of a scalar weapon. Maybe they used the standard demolition method, because it does look like a demolition. The buildings look like they were preset. That means the charges were set prior. It means a much bigger story, not 17 or 18 terrorists running into our country with planes that they barely could fly. It's a real stretch to believe that that passport they found that led to all those 17 terrorists or 18 terrorists, which was in mint condition, was illegitimate. The passport of Muhammad Atta was completely fake. It looks more like it was planted and put in our face to say, oh yeah, look over there, there's a bunch of terrorists. And now, to add insult to injury, they just put a Saudi Arabian sculpture at 9/11. They're laughing at us. They blamed it on Saudi Arabia, which was probably false blame. And now they're laughing at us. Look at this. A sculpture celebrating Saudi Arabia has been erected on Ground Zero. And it's a little candy wrapper. A little green candy wrapper. Isn't that funny? A sculpture celebrating Saudi Arabia's place in the G20 summit was erected on the World Trade Center grounds last week, a stone's throw away from the 9/11 memorial. So, I don't know who's making the jokes, but I'm not laughing, and I consider that a slam against our country and a gross misuse of a public edifice. Hey, we're still live. Hey, guys, I'm going to sign off, but I will be taking tomorrow night off. So we'll be taking Sunday night, as I normally do, but we'll be back for Conspiracy Monday. And hopefully the government won't be shut down. Hopefully. But you never know. Yeah, the death of Joan River and the connection to Michael Obama. We talk about that quite a bit, yeah. Conspiracy Monday, we can bring that up. Now, you have to develop your own alternative lifestyle. Part of all of your survival is try to do something that you enjoy personally tomorrow. Not just watch a show. I'm trying to help all of you kind of evolve. I don't know why you're banned on Vaughn. Vaughn bans 350 million VPNs. And that connects to over 2 billion people. And Mark has admitted to banning 350 million VPNs. So that's probably why you're banned on Vaughn. If you're lucky to get out with a VPN in your country of origin, and you get in there, you're going to be banned. But lucky you have this to chat in. We take iVlog chat too. You're banned on Periscope? Well, maybe you're not on Twitter. Dr. Bruce Lipton explains how we are programmed at birth. An eye-opening video. That looks really good. Nearly 10 million hits. Wow. Outstanding.
95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life.
Good to know. Yeah, we're all kind of victims of television, that's for sure. Many of us have been programmed through our TV watching. I know I watched about maybe 10 hours of TV as a kid every day. I know that sounds wild, but when I got home from school, I think I stayed up till about 1 in the morning. I'm going to say 8 hours of TV. Yeah, so I grew up on television. I'll be here all the way to 2 a.m. for virtual interactive chatting. And I do go on the mic. I just, get loose and get into some casual clothes and relax. So I don't have to dress up for that segment. But we play videos all the way to 2 in the morning every night. Real Magoo can't sign on either. Yeah, Mark's been successfully censoring a lot of people, but thank goodness we have iVlog. And we also have Periscope, which gives us alternative views. Somehow got rid of my Periscope link. Now it's up. Okay. But if you ever have a problem getting our show, you can find us at 2 different places. Online at third party. That's a significant place you'll find us. On Twitter. We'll post a link to Periscope every day that we do at the show at 6 o'clock prior. Or you can go to Cool Rock, which is another option. And coolrock.com is the site that I created to have fun with. For those of you who like to kind of hang out, watch the show. It's a site that's run by a very unique platform where you can move anything you want around on the site. It's totally interactive. This is your page to do whatever you want with. You have to enable the Flash player for the show to play, but it brings us the iVlog feed. And you can ditch the ads anytime you want. It's run off a Scraplet backbone. And this is a free site, so we're using it as a place to store our stuff. But here's our YouTube channel. It takes you directly to the YouTube channel. If you click that link, it gives you all of our videos.
I'm David John Sponheim. I'm America's write-in presidential candidate for 2008.
And that was me back in 2008. And you've got channels. I've got 15,000 hours of broadcasting available to you for free. If you want to go to sleep with that, you certainly can. And then we've got, the chat from both chat rooms in here. So, hi, chatters. And we've got chat from Vaughn over here. And down below, you see you can move anything you want here. You can take this and move it around with your cursor. You can X out of any box you want, refresh to restore. This is just make music below while you chat. So if you want to have fun, you can play with an interactive piano, interacting with artificial intelligence. And the little things you can do to make it kind of play out. Isn't that interesting? It responds to everything you do in its own way, unique to itself. And then here's a really cool harp with multiple harp options. I got rid of the other things that weren't working properly. And then this is a really cool interactive thing called Mr. Doob. I just put it out there for people to have fun. All these links click on things that you can do things with. Look at that. And it's all using a backbone of coding that was developed for interactive fun. Mr. Doob is available online, so I just threw it in there. And all sides offers all 3 sides of every political segment and different links to various sources. So, shutdown enters fourth week, record fourth week with Trump Dems still split, federal workers unpaid. That was the right wing. The centrist portion is U.S. partial government shutdown becomes longest ever, kind of mild. And then the left wing, record shutdown is a massive Washington failure. And these all link to various news items. Fox News with the right, BBC with the centrist, and CNN with the left. And if you want to find out more about America, this is a cool site. America's Story from America's Library offers all kinds of things you can have fun with, looking at history of every state in the Union. And again, if you don't like any of these things, you can clear the whole site out, just, completely wipe it out. This has got music on it right here. Wild stuff. Have fun with it. Enjoy. It's designed to doodle and have fun with coolrock.com. All right, so we're pretty much done here. We're National Enquirer finally got one right with its sensational expose of Bezos' affair. I don't know. It turns out Bezos has a sex tape. He actually sexed himself. It's a sex image of himself. So he's, yeah, the smartest guy in the world, no, he's not the smartest guy, he's the richest guy. The richest guy in the world can't control what's going into the cloud. Shows you how vulnerable all of us are with personal storage. Lara, okay, she's got 180 IQ.
Now, if everything has gone relatively well in your life so far, you probably haven't had that thought before.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to that. 2 million views of Lara. All right, I'm out of here. Sarah is waiting. We're going to have some quality personal time tonight to hang out. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are on to the next one.